Hi, this is Victor Devon, and you are listening to Season 3 of We Burlesque the Podcast. Thank you so much for your support over the last year and a half. This is pretty exciting. We've done more than 60 regular episodes with a couple of bonuses along the way, and I have a bunch of episodes in the queue that I can't wait for you all to listen to. And I still have more interviews and conversations planned, so it's going to be a great season. I already know it. This is your reminder, however, that I do all of this by myself, and frankly, a little help and support goes a long way. As artists, we throw in a tip bucket, and any money that goes in helps keep the dream alive. So if you want to help out, you can go to patreon.com/weburlesque, and you can pledge as a regular monthly pleasure, or you can throw me a couple bucks on Cash App, or you can throw me a couple bucks on Venmo. It's Victor Viktor Devon Devonne, and that's just the way it is. So thank you so much, and again, enjoy the rest of the season. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters, Michelle Donato, Stormageddon, Rob Starabin, and Kelly Blue. If anybody else would like to join that list, I will thank you in the next episode. Thank you so much. This is We Burlesque the Podcast. I am your host, Victor Devon, and today I am on the phone with a fabulous burlesque performer and producer and wellness expert, Minnie Tonka. Hi, Minnie.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So you've been traveling. Where have you been running off to?
I have been, actually this summer, it's crazy. This past weekend was the first weekend that I was actually home in Brooklyn since June. Every weekend I've been traveling, but it's all been fun traveling. So I was in Cape Cod.
Is it recharging?
Yeah. Yeah, but it was I realized that it was actually a little bit too much of traveling, but I was in Cape Cod, and then I was home in Minneapolis, and then I was in Philly and Maryland, and then I went back to Philly. It was all for fun stuff. I did a couple of brunch shows in Philly a few weeks ago, and then I went back to Pennsylvania, and I was floating on an inner tube in the Delaware River, and so it's been really this summer of fun and beauty and being in the sun and in nature, which has been super healing and wonderful. However, I've just been oh my God, I miss Brooklyn. And so just being home this weekend, I literally I left my apartment, but I did not want to. I was I just need to reground myself and just be home and sleep in my own bed for a week straight. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So that's good. But it's been a really great summer, and it's still summer. It's, August 12th.
Yeah, that's
so we got time, and yeah. So it's good. Actually, I had a house guest too, so I was it was fine. But I was wait, my first time home in 6 weeks, and then I have a house guest over the weekend, which was
and you
great.
Can't even, you can't even be by yourself.
It was my very good friend Jet Adore, who I know that you know. So
yes.
So that was really good. He stayed with me over the years, but and he's wonderful and a dear friend and an amazing house guest. But then I was you kind of want to also see okay, what do you? I mean, he had gigs and stuff, but I could, whatever, we let loose around each other, so it's totally fine. But yeah, I didn't want to leave my house. But we went to the butcher and we got some meat, and we made some food, and yeah. But anyway, here I am.
Here you are. Is it uncommon for you to have that long a stretch just running out the door? Do you often leave your home in Brooklyn for long stretches, or is that uncommon for you?
Not recently. I used to years ago when I would do a lot of traveling and stuff, but those are big chunks of time. This was particularly different because I was literally gone more than not just a Friday and Saturday and Sunday, but every single weekend in July and then the first weekend in August. literally out of town for like 3 to 5 days every week.
In all different places.
In all different places. So yeah.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, but like I said, I realized I think it was just a little bit too much.
All at once.
My body is happy to just chill the F out and be home, and you know.
Do you have anything local that you have time to prepare for, or is this just chill out time for a little while?
So my dance partner, Darlinda and I were the Schlepp Sisters. We actually have in February we celebrated our 15-year burlesque anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And we are having our anniversary burlesque party at Coney Island.
Oh, very nice.
We're having a show. It's August 30th, Friday, August 30th, 2019. So that's in a couple weeks. And so we're just kind of, working on stuff for that. And so that's exciting. But other than that, in August, I'm here. I'm here in New York. I'm not leaving for the next couple of weeks.
So just so people who don't know necessarily, how would you describe what the Schlepp Sisters are, and how did that all come together?
Sure. So the Schlepp Sisters, we are a burlesque duet. We call ourselves Showbiz Sisters, and we, in terms of like our style and our energy and our performance, is really it's more like just really fun and playful and celebratory and upbeat and funny and loving, and really all about just celebrating like our Jewish heritage and culture. A lot of our acts have like a Jewish, I would say, actually, I think basically 100% of our acts have some sort of
some sort of reference.
Jewish, that's very accessible and really fun. And so Darlinda and I have different styles in our solo performances, but when we come together as the Schlepp Sisters, we just kind of like create this really fun, beautiful experience, and it's just it's really great, and I feel very grateful for her friendship and her dance partnership. And it's like, oh my God, we've been doing this for 15 years, and we've literally like toured and traveled the world together. So it's really an amazing blessing.
When you first started getting together, how organically or how calculated were you together to make it specifically Jewish heritage oriented? Did that sort of happen by accident, or was it like, we'll do this one act and it spilled?
No, it was totally intentional, because at the time we met in 2003, and we started doing burlesque together and in 2004, and I was like very adamant about like, we're both Jewish. Like we just happened to meet. We're both Jewish, and I was like just really into like Jewish culture and like Jewish arts and expression and identity through that. So I was like pretty adamant that like, okay, we're Jews, we're doing Jewish stuff. And she was like, okay. It was a little bit more like I feel like it's, 15 years of, like a 15-year relationship. Very, it's a long time. Like we've been through a lot, So
are you basically doing? You're coming up with brand new things all the time, though, right? So you're not. You don't.
All the time. Usually it's about once a year. I think that's kind of what we've done in general is usually once a year. Maybe years ago, twice a year, but in general, it's usually we're creating an act for our annual Hanukkah show, which is called Menorah Hora, and like sometimes we've created stuff, like we've done like a Passover like show, maybe like a few years back, maybe we create something for that as well. But yeah, at this point we're not churning them out. You know what I mean?
So you have like 15 to 20 that you rotate basically?
How many do we have? I feel like we probably have less. that we, like, there's some that we don't do anymore, you know, or we haven't done
I
in
think
years.
the first time I saw the two of you, I want to say it was at the New York Burlesque Festival, and you did a song called "Party in My Pants." I think it was called.
Yes.
It was very like disco birthday party, like that. That's how I. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Totally, Victor, you got it. Yes, that's like. Yeah. It's. Oh my God, I love that you just called it disco birthday party. Yes, it totally like. That's the one where people like are singing the song, like text me days later after they see us in the show. They're like, oh my God, I'm still singing that song and I love it.
Where do you find your material?
This particular song was by this Israeli artist who I had met, who was living in New York City at the time in the mid to late 2000s. I think that act is from 2007. Yeah, that act is from 2007. And he just put out this, like, crazy, like, just weird album of, like, you know, like, his songs are a mixture of English and Hebrew. And that one was just so freaking hilarious. And I was like, oh, my God, we have to do this. So a few of our songs, actually, we've done, like, for, like, Passover or Hanukkah, we've done, like, musical montages, like where we're, like, telling the story of Passover or the story of Hanukkah through striptease, but also through, like, you know, song, you know, vibe and lyrics. And but recently, our new thing that we've done the past, I guess, 4 years is we're having we're basically taking a song and having our friend Scott Rayo, who is a professional voiceover, like, recreate the lyrics and the song. And then Broadway Brassy in our community, who is a host and a singer, has been doing a lot of the singing as well. So, like, we have, like, the 80s song by Shaka Khan, I Feel For You. We had them change it to I Feel For Jews. I Think I Love Jews. And so, but just talking about, you know, all the Slub Sisters, and then, you know, that song, Just the Two of Us.
Yes.
So we had that changed to Broadway Brassy singing it, Just the Jew of Us. And so, like, Scott changed the lyrics, like, specifically for us. And we actually we're having a new one come out that I won't share here because it's a surprise, but
sure.
We're doing at our 15-year burlesque anniversary at the end of the month. It's going to be very funny. Yeah, so that's kind of what we've been doing the past few years is those. But, yeah, we just kind of have a variety of stuff.
Well, you and Darlinda work a lot independently, and you both tour a lot, and you both travel. So how do you? Is there a time where, especially right before the Hanukkah season, that you like say, okay, we really have to get together, or do you largely work over like iPhones and email?
No, we like to do both. Like, we definitely want to get together. Like, that's just, like, that's really good. But we would talk through stuff, like, on the phone. But, yeah, like, leading up to a show, like, especially with Hanukkah or recreating an act, we really kind of map it out and, you know, make sure that we're kind of, like, spacing out rehearsal time to just kind of, like, brainstorm and choreograph and create, or, you know,
do you mutually choreograph, or does one usually take the lead?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a total equal collaboration.
So why is it, I guess, I mean, it's sort of an obvious question because it's part of your heritage, but why is it that you feel that this connection to make sure that gets a place on stage? Because obviously it's not represented anywhere, so that's a good enough reason, but why does it speak so strongly to you to make sure you're the one doing it?
Well, I think at the time, like, when I had just graduated graduate school and I got a master's in Jewish studies and education. And so I was, like, really into, and I just lived in Israel, like, the year before. So I was, like, really just, like, into Judaism and like, alternative creative expression of Jewish identity and just like Jewish arts kind of, you know, and really that was really important to me. And so it was such like it just was kind of a natural or felt really important to have a fun way to express, because I'm not like religious, but so like it was just a fun, meaningful, you know, way to express like Jewish identity and celebration of the heritage. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess is it I guess your way of connecting with it, since you say you're not a particularly religious individual. It's your way on your terms.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like and it's, you know, in the beginning, like I used to produce a show called Kosher Chicks, like XXX. That was like started like 2004. I guess it was 2004, 5, 6, 7 maybe. And that was like once or twice a year, and those were like holiday shows or just a straight up Kosher Chicks. And that was super fun. I mean, those were in the early days, you know, and it was fun to do that because a lot of the performers at the time, you know, in general, there aren't that many Jewish performers. We're always like trying to find who's a Jew, you know. But it was in those earlier days, like it was. Side note, also, Darlinda and I in the early days were performing a lot with a show called Nice Jewish Girls Gone Bad, which we toured with a lot, which was mostly comedians, and they had some burlesque, and we were rotating cast, but we for a while there were like the staple like burlesque dancers and like backup dancers, and so that was just being a part of touring with Nice Jewish Girls Gone Bad, and in those early years doing like Kosher Chicks. It just was this. There was a lot of validation and feedback from like not only audience members but also like performers. Like, oh wow, like like my mom doesn't approve that I do burlesque. This is not me because my mom loves that I do burlesque, but you know, some performers like my mom doesn't approve, but like I just told her that I'm doing a Jewish show and now she wants to come to it, you know. Yeah. Like from New Jersey or whatever. So that was like,
all that way ago. That is
all that way. You know
it sometimes that can be a distance. Yeah.
Yeah, but like she wouldn't come to a regular show, but if it was a Jewish themed show, then she was like, "Oh, my daughter is doing a Jewish themed show." Now I feel a little bit like that's cool, you know.
A little more of a connection.
Yeah, so that was, you know, just over the years, there's been a lot of people who have felt validated that they can be Jewish in whatever way they want. Like, oh wow, you're expressing your Jewish identity through like striptease. That's awesome, you know. And it's been that's been like really a beautiful thing, I think.
Now, I don't want to focus on a negative aspect, but if somebody said, oh, that sounds, I'm not necessarily in bad taste, but if they didn't know what it was or they were concerned about it, how would you, I guess, explain to them what your mission statement was as a...
Yeah, well, okay. Arlene and I, it's not a joke. Like, we don't come to it as, like, a joke at all. So that's not the energy or intention. Like, literally, we come to what we do with love. Okay. So I think that's how it's received because, you know, when you're a performer on stage and you're being your authentic self, people will understand that energy or receive that energy, hopefully in that way. So I think the times where there's been issues is when maybe if like, but it's been so, honestly, it's so few, like people like either don't say anything or they just don't come to our show, you know, it's just, it's not, this has never really been a problem. But I used to work, one of my jobs after grad school, I worked at at a Jewish community center here, and we did shows. And so, like, some members were more religious Jews, and just felt uncomfortable with that. And we were doing shows in the theater there, but we still did them. You know, they just would say something maybe to, like, front desk staff or something like, oh, what's, you know, the flyer sitting out, you know what I mean?
Right.
But other than that, it's not like people are coming up afterwards saying anything negative. We, you know, it's not been our experience. Everyone, like, I believe that everyone can approach their relationship with Judaism and express their Judaism in ways that are meaningful to them. And this is one way that Darlinda and I celebrate our Judaism, and that is totally fine if that makes someone uncomfortable. You know, like that's totally fine. That, you know, burlesque, whether it's Jewish themed or not, is not for everyone.
Do you like movies?
Any movies. Old movies, new movies.
Bad movies.
Sad movies.
I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And I'm Rachel Corky Shank.
And together we host Screen Snark, a movie podcast for movie lovers by movie lovers.
It's a podcast dedicated to the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts.
Featuring guests of a wide selection of entertainment backgrounds, performers, writers, creatives.
So please join us for the casual cinema conversation every other Monday wherever you get your podcast.
And follow us on Twitter at @screen_snark, and we'll see you at the movies. All right, we're supposed to do that bit together.
That's cool.
So Darlinda and I performed in Germany together a few years ago, and we actually we did Party My Pants.
Mm-hmm.
But we were like in Hamburg and performing, and we were up there performing, and it's like we are so connected when we are on stage. Like we just it's just this deep connection that has evolved over the years. But like literally, both of us had tears, and we could both sense that both of us were literally crying on. Like we didn't realize like how powerful it would be when we were like doing Party in My Pants, which is a super funny, like this is just like a super funny, upbeat, playful act, and there we were, like doing it in Germany, and we were like up there, both with like tears in our eyes, and afterwards we went backstage, and we were like, oh my God, that was completely profound. And like the audience was like, you know, loving every second of it, and like it was amazing. We were just like, oh my God, the Schlep Sisters just stripped to Party My Pants, which has like Hebrew singing in it, you know, like in Germany. We were like, holy crap. And it was received just like so well. People were like obsessed. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, I also know that considering our own political climate, that it can be somewhat terrifying, I guess, for just to sum it up, with what is acceptable just to sort of be up to. and with our administration as it is, and to consider the fact that you were there in Germany doing that, it may have even felt safer to do it in Germany compared to necessarily here.
Yeah.
So it is. I think it's really cool because it is sort of a it is a radical act to celebrate that, particularly in this climate.
Yeah. It was really meaningful.
How would you describe your work when you are Minnie Tonka by yourself, when you're not with Darlinda?
Let's see. I feel like I'm just me.
Okay.
You know, like I have like a lot of like 80s rock and roll. I just like, I really like to be, I feel more comfortable being funny, but I really just love to connect with the audience and be like be entertaining, but again, back to being like authentic, just like sharing my energy, and like just exposing like who I am and hoping that people feel connected and inspired by that in some sort of way that is just, you know, like maybe brings them like, you know, smiles or just like an elevated experience of like just being entertained or, you know, that's just more, I'm more coming to burlesque with like positive energy and connecting with the audience. And
so would you call yourself basically more on the comedy side of a burlesque performer?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a ballad from you, or like a torch song. I'm not sure if I have.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's funny because like this year at the New York Burlesque Festival, I'm doing something that's not funny. It's more like very slow and sultry.
Okay.
And I don't think and it's not a new act at all. Like it's years old, but I was like thinking, oh wow, I feel like it's very different. Like to showcase, this will be very different for me to showcase this act at the New York Burlesque Festival versus every other year, which in general is more, you know, comedic twist.
How easy is it for you to come up with stuff? Do things just sort of take time, or do you get an idea and then work on it really quickly to get it out there, or what is your process like as a instructor?
It depends over the years. Like these days, like I'm not really, I'm focusing on other things. I'm really focusing on like my nutritional therapy and wellness practice. So that's kind of where my passion and my energy and my creativity is really going into. And my money, you know what I mean? Like, and creating like a new costume and stuff. But you know, it depends. I feel like these days, like I'm really into just like when I have an opportunity to do like improv, you know, not even to a live band, but just in general, like that's super fun to me. Like if I'm in the slip room, I might just like do like an act to like a song that I really like. You know what I mean?
Play, basically.
Been kind of fun to me, just to kind of mix it up. And but yeah, over the years, I would say, you know, a lot of my acts, I definitely, that I put a lot of time and effort in. I've spent a lot of time in the dance studio really working on them.
You're very choreographed?
They're choreographed. However, like, there's one act that I've done for like 2 years now. It's To Pretty Woman by Van Halen. And that one actually kind of like, I was in a Van Halen burlesque show. Like the producer was like, you've got to have a Van Halen act. I was like, no, I don't, but I need to. So yeah, I want to do your show. And then that was pretty much improv, but now it's literally one of my favorite acts. Like, and so it kind of, that just evolved. I've never went into the studio with that, but I just started doing it every time I performed, and I'm like obsessed with it. So, and it's just so fun that just kind of, the choreography just happened that way. But at this point, I feel so comfortable on stage. In the early years, I would be freaking out if I didn't know what I was doing, you know. But
Right.
at this point, you know, it's been 15 years, so I feel very, very comfortable.
You instruct too, right? You teach?
Yeah, it's not such a. I love teaching. I love teaching so much. It means so much to me. I've only taught the New York School of Burlesque for a few times, but in general, when I was touring and traveling a lot, that's when I would teach. And I haven't been touring or traveling as much, so that's kind of sadly not been happening. But yeah, I love teaching. I feel like I'm a really good facilitator, and I really love to encourage people to really reflect and think and just create that safe space in a class. I love it so much.
If someone is feeling the itch for burlesque but doesn't know where to start, what would you say is some of the things that they should work on before they even start looking at gowns or shoes?
Do deep self-work.
Okay. What does that mean for you?
I feel like people I think knowing why you're getting into it is really important. I think that, you know, it's fine. Like, some people get into it because they just want to be pretty. Some people get into it because, you know, they just went through a divorce. Some people get into it because, you know, they're just working through body image. Everyone comes to a different issue or place. But I think if you know what it is and your intention of, like, that it's actually not about you, that it really is about the community and the audience, that is where I'm coming from. Like, really, like, so it's like being really understanding who you are, what your intention is, and then sharing that, you know, like really sharing that and being just super true to yourself and opening your heart, because the audience will know if you're fake, you know what I mean? If
Absolutely.
you do it because you know what I mean? So I would say, when I say do deep self-work, like, yeah, just like a lot of, you know, I would say, like, who cares what else people are doing out there? Like, I don't like that, like, it's like, what can you bring that's new and unique, and what's like just because everyone was wearing a corset doesn't mean that you need to wear a corset. No one used to wear corsets. You know what I mean? Like, back in the early days of burlesque.
I know, but it's so part of, like, the starter burlesque wardrobe. It's right out of the costume bag. Yeah.
So, but I think it's changing a little bit. I used to, like, a few handful years back, it was kind of like that kind of burst of mainstream. Kind of was bringing in people that thought they were doing, that they should be a certain way. And I guess what I'm saying is just, like, go within and, like, what do you love? Like, who gives a shit? Like, if you want to rock out to, you know, whatever song, you know what I mean? Like, that is just going to, like, be so inspiring to you. Like, do that, you know, like, because that's where you're bringing your truth and you're sharing what you love and your passion, and I think that's where people are going to connect.
Absolutely. Well, before we jump over to your passion right now in wellness and nutrition, I was curious, right before we jump into that, what are some of I always like to know, and I'm always curious, what were some of the icons either that spoke to you when you were growing up or when you were first working in burlesque that said to you, this is either something that really speaks to me as an artist, or I want to at least channel that?
Well, it wasn't that I wanted to channel because I really just wanted to be myself.
Sure.
But I, in the beginning, like, my favorite performer is Little Brooklyn, and she is so hilarious, and she's just an absolute genius and such an incredible performer and so funny and just literally a freaking comedic genius.
Yeah.
And so I was just very inspired by her.
She gives me such Rosalind Russell vibes.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like whenever I've worked with her only a couple of times, but when I have, she's so effortlessly dry and witty, and I love it. So good.
So amazing. Yeah. Darlinda's favorite is Julie Atlas Muse.
Also great.
Yeah, totally. So, but yeah, it was really that. Little Brooklyn was just always just like, oh my God, she just made me laugh and made me think, and has always been just incredibly inspiring.
Did you grow up with any like rock stars or celebrity influences that kept you going?
No, not really, honestly. Like, I mean, not people themselves that have like influenced who I am as a performer. Mm-hmm. Definitely music, because I use a lot of like 80s rock and roll. Yeah. But not like individual artists.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen you have a couple of I've seen you have a ZZ Top with Sharp Dressed Man, where you are a mustached gentleman on the scene. Planet Claire, the B-52s. Yep. Great song, and I love that act. You move. I don't know. It's like I can't see your feet, so you just sort of float. And
Thank you. I know, that's the genius of that costume. I know. I love that act so much.
Let's switch over gears, because we're going to find the connection probably organically through it. But you also have, in addition to your burlesque, an interest and a professional interest in that, because it's also a job in wellness and nutrition. A, what does that mean, generally speaking? And B, where did you fall into all of this?
Okay, I'm going to start with B.
Sure.
So, I have rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease, and I was diagnosed 19 years ago. And I was in remission for about a decade. And in 2010, when I started touring and doing burlesque full time, I had been on like pharmaceutical medication for a decade, and and then it just the medication just kind of stopped working, and so. And it was this really odd, very, very hard experience where I was touring and doing burlesque full time all the time, but in severe chronic pain for years. And so, and just trying to figure that out. And so I made some dietary changes in 2012. I eliminated dairy and gluten, and I kept touring. Like that year I went to Australia, and then the next year I went to Europe twice. I mean, it was really a lot. And I just wasn't getting better, and I just was in such severe pain. And I'm really giving you the very abridged short version.
Sure.
But I had started working with a classical homeopath, and people can look up homeopathy because that's a whole other subject. But
sure.
It's a natural way to help heal your body. And so I was talking to my homeopath, and I was in such pain, and she was like, "Okay, you need to make a decision." And I was calling her actually from Key West. I was performing in this in Key West in this theatrical production, and I could barely get through rehearsals, barely even get through the shows, and I couldn't even get home afterwards. I was in so much pain, and so I was like, oh my God. And so I made that shift. It was petrifying and terrifying to really change my lifestyle, because I'd been doing burlesque full time at that point, 4 or 5 years, I guess. And I just knew that I couldn't do that anymore. It was too painful and hurting my body too much and my soul. And so I really started not performing as much. That was, I guess, at this point, that was 2014. And I just started really making lifestyle changes and still performing, of course, but not touring full time and doing it full time. So I really just started doing a lot of spiritual and emotional work to really handle the chronic pain and fatigue I was in. And also just really confused about burlesque, will people want to hire me or not hire me anymore because I'm not performing as much, or because I have an autoimmune disease? It's, having major identity crisis, what's going on, and then a few years later, I just learned about this program through the Nutritional Therapy Association, and I decided to go to school. When I heard about it, I just started crying, and I was like, that's it. I need, even though I'd, changed my diet in some ways, I really didn't know so much more than just superficial research. And that just really called my name. And so I went back to school a couple of years ago to become a nutritional therapy practitioner. And it was life-changing. And it really has shifted my understanding of how powerful not only what we eat and how we nourish our bodies, but how we eat. And, it's we were never taught what to eat. We were never taught it's just
well, it also seems like it changes every now and then. You hear about how carbs are good and then carbs are bad, and then eggs were good and then eggs are bad.
For sure. And that's why it's good to work with me, so I can be your personal coach.
Because you'll do all the research.
Yeah. Exactly, because I'm in the know. I have a deep investment in knowledge. And what I do is I work with clients one-on-one and helping them feel better and helping them address their health concerns and health goals as a support, a resource, a guide, a coach, and education, and a friend. And I provide very highly personalized nutrition and lifestyle protocols, and work just very closely and develop really, beautiful relationships with my clients, just supporting them along the way on their path to wellness. And I really bring into it, where I'm coming from in terms of my own healing, the understanding, like connecting to your body and self-compassion and really listening to your body and learning what that means. I bring all of the years and years of work that I've done on myself into my practice with my clients and really help address that, because I believe that sort of any, like symptom or sign that our body, whether it's insomnia or a runny nose or, a headache or a back pain, is really our body communicating. And, sadly, we've just learned to like pop 4 Advil. I used to do like every day for like 20 years, and just like pop a pill and move on. And I think it's so important to actually stop and like ask your body what's happening and listen and like connect with your body. And so I love that. So that's a really big focus and helping people connect and with themselves on a deeper level, emotionally, spiritually, physically, nutrition, lifestyle, sleep, everything, all movement, the whole thing. So that is my focus, and I'm just so passionate about it, and I feel just so excited and invested and committed to helping people, and meeting people where they're at. Like, people are coming from all different places of where, like, absolutely no judgment where anyone's coming from. But if someone wants help, like, I'm here. So yeah.
What are some of the most frequent either concerns people generally have, or that you usually find yourself working with?
It really depends. I think, and I've been doing this like over a year, and it might be different in 5 years and in 10 years. But I think, honestly, I think stress is, people are living on this level of chronic stress that they actually don't even realize that they're stressed. Do you know what I mean? And that just trickles down in different ways for everyone in a different way. So it's really, I think, people, their symptoms can manifest in such different ways, but so much of it is lifestyle, and really, it's like really, really, I look at the person from like a holistic, the whole person, as you can gather as I'm explaining what I do. So it's really not just about like, oh, what do I eat? And usually some people are like, help me, I don't know what to eat for breakfast. And, I will help you figure that out. But
there's also what happens before breakfast and what happens after breakfast.
Totally. But I would say, I think people are chronically fatigued and stressed, and that can be a sign of so many different things, and it's really different for everyone. But there's not been one client that hasn't been an issue, Right. But I work with, clients who do have an autoimmune disease or a chronic illness, or someone who is just really trying to reconnect with their body and I'm not like a weight loss person. Like, that isn't for me, like weight, like that isn't like, if someone came to me and like, hi, will you help me lose weight? I would be like, maybe you might want someone else, because, unless they want to do, like, my focus would more just be on, let's work on your relationship with food and your body. And then, like, I suspect that you might naturally get to a weight that might be better for your, like, like your structure, and, your emotional and physical well-being. But I like to just go deeper with stuff and or someone might be like, oh, I have a scare, like there's, diabetes in the family, or so, you know what I mean? Like, let's deal with that. Yeah, I just think that everything is so interconnected, and it's really kind of helping people explore that, that that lifestyle plays such a huge role in your health, and that cannot be emphasized enough.
And that also brings in working on your own self-image and working on your own relationship with yourself, because
absolutely, yeah,
your choices are all frequently dependent on how you feel. So if you're feeling crummy, then you're going to make crummy decisions that'll affect you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we all get into that. It's like you feel like shit, so then you eat like shit, and then that makes you feel like shit again, and then it's like this cycle. You know what I mean? Or like, you need to like go for a walk because you need to move your body, but then it's it's like you just procrastinate, or you know what I mean, or just whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, so it's really, mindset is so huge, and that's really been helpful for me, changing my thoughts and my mindset around dealing with the chronic pain. And so it's really, providing like just support and guidance with people with that, because mindset is so huge. And people want to make change, but it's really like, it's hard changing alone. You know what I mean? Like, that's why people have like gym buddies or whatever, I don't go to the gym, but
accountability helps.
Accountability is so like necessary. And so that's, something that I really provide, and I provide it with such love, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. So it's been this really interesting, journey that I, am still performing, but I had to really shift and massively change my performance career because of my health issues, and how then that has kind of evolved to a career shift in focusing on, nutrition and wellness and helping other people,
Now that you've gone through that, do you feel steadier on stage? Do you think you make better choices? Are you a better performer?
I think I am the same performer. Some of like over the years, like some of like just kind of like joint issues or like some physical limitations like have changed. So some like floor work, like you'll never see me do floor work. Like it's hard for me to get up and down off the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I never really did floor work anyway, but like I might like do a slide across the floor, or you know what I mean, or do some, like on an old act I did that, that's not happening anymore. But that doesn't matter, because I feel like it's really the energy that you bring, and your intention to the stage.
And listening to your body, I guess, as you go.
Absolutely. I think, 100%. Like I'm not like, I'm not hanging out. And I'm also like 15 years older than I was when I first started, but I'm not like, like hanging out like after those shows like I used to years ago. I mean, I don't know how, you know what I mean? Like I used to be whooping it up all the time after the shows, and that kind of just shifts and changes after years. But like, but that's kind of just like, post-show stuff. But as a performer, no, I think that I'm me, I'm bringing me. I'm still bringing like, my love and intention, and and my fun.
Yeah. So I thank you for sitting down and chatting with me. If there are places that folks should go, I'll include in the footnotes. But where should people check out to either get in touch with you or to see more about your work?
Thanks. Yeah, well, I think that because I know that people are going to be listening to this in like 2025. So, so definitely our annual Menorah Hora Hanukkah show is every December, the Schlepp Sisters. So there's that. Like my burlesque website, I don't post shows anymore. It's just kind of like, here I am, but my email's on there. But I would say, and that's MissMinnieTonka.com, but I would say, Instagram is great. It's Minnie_Tonka, MINNIE. And where I'm really doing a lot of fun shit, as far as I'm concerned, posting recipes and wellness stuff is also my wellness Instagram, which is the.wellnesshq. That's the Instagram handle.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wellness website is thewellnessheadquarters.com.
It's all you, right? You're not part of like a larger conglomerate. You do one-on-one work with folk.
Yep. It's me. And what is so awesome is that I work with clients all over the world. So yeah, I don't just need to see clients in New York City. So I do have a lot of distance clients, and which is just super fun. And I honestly didn't realize how amazing that can work, and I think that that's just kind of like the age we're in. People have like whatever industry they're in, people can work with people like on Skype or FaceTime or whatever, but it works really well. So that's been really great to.
Do you work with people like over Skype?
Yeah, it's more been FaceTime, but
okay.
yes, Skype. Let's see. I have a client who's out of the country. And we do Facebook video.
Okay. I mean, that's the thing. Technology can sort of help.
Yeah. Like a Zoom call or whatever. Yeah. So there's different platforms. That's just been really great to have clients that are all over. I love that. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor, for having me. I really appreciate the time to have this really fun and meaningful conversation with you. I appreciate it very, very much.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for taking what you've learned about your own journey with health and making sure that you make the right choices in doing things and that you bring that to other people, especially, a community that is sort of stressed the hell out. And we live in a world where we're afraid of what we're going to see on social media, but we can't turn away. So,
yep.
But I thank you for all that you do, and I also thank for being a lovely entertainer. I have worked with you a number of times, and you've always been extraordinarily kind backstage, and I appreciate that.
Good.
So.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much. Listeners at home or in the car, check out the footnotes for all of the places that Minnie mentioned just a moment ago, and make sure that you follow accordingly. And this has been We Burlesque. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, Minnie. Thank you so much.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
Bye.
As the clock ticks grew further and further away in sound, Mr. Granston was asleep. As Marla stood there, bringing the soiled shirt to the basin. The room was quiet as she stood there, barring that of the cool water pouring from the faucet. As it approached a warmer touch, Marla ran her weathered fingers under the tap. She had seen her own father go years earlier, and was doing all she could not to allow the memories to subject her to foregone conclusions of her employer. The steam rose from the basin, and Marla dunked the shirt under. Her eyes trailed away, awash with concern and predisposed loss for Thomas James Granston. As she looked on, a spot came in focus. The resulting splatter of Mr. Granston's emboldened attempts to shave himself in the morning continued to carry into the afternoon, it seemed. Leaving the shirt immersed in the water, Marla stared down at the spot. The color suggested it was older, but it looked otherwise fresh. The spot, marring the otherwise lovely daffodil-colored tiles just to the left of the dish of bar soap, dimmed in the light. Marla shook her head, somewhat dizzy, and looked again. Seeing nothing but the subtle wash of yellow color on the wall, she stepped back, uneasily, confused. She glanced at the sink and let out a yelp. Her master's white-collared shirt was now drenched in a deep, thick, scarlet bath. She puffed and stumbled back toward the wall of the bathroom, nearly falling into the tub, causing her view to catch the floor to steady herself. She looked back at the sink. The shirt bobbed slightly in the clear water. She gasped, but did not want to wake her employer up, so she stifled the sound with her fingers, nearly biting into them with fear. A drubbing against the wall shook her into place as she stood, far enough from the sound to ensure she had not been the one to make it. The yellow wall tile shone in the light of the room, gently reflecting just the closest of objects. Marla studied the tile, seeing how each was separated by a thin strip of hardened white goo. She let her gaze follow several pieces until she stopped dead. Marla slowly moved closer to the splotch of crimson that marred the otherwise cheerful hue. This mark was larger, unmistakable, and slowly, purposefully dripped in thin lines to the floor. No. Marla held her head. She rushed her palm to the mark, praying it would vanish upon contact, but instead leaving an ugly smear. She gagged at the sight. Her eyes filling with wells of tears, she sank her hand into the still water of the basin, the water immediately a deepening, wretched pink. With her other hand she turned the faucet, cupping handfuls of water and bringing them to her face. Convinced she was suddenly going mad, she squeezed her eyes tight and commanded her senses to return.
Victor Devon presents Two Nights Stay, Stories from the Gilman.